In part one of My Old Man Was a Tough Nut, I gave a couple of stories on how impressed I was as a child of my father's exploits and watching him as a man. I'm going to finish out with part two today, talking about one particular incident that sticks in my mind like yesterday. I'm sure there's many more that will come to mind over the months to come. I haven't dug up these memories in a long time, but this one will always stay fresh. After my parents split up in the summer of 1977, also referred to in a previous video, uh, my father and I tried to reestablish some stable footing. Shortly after my mother's departure, my dad's girlfriend moved in. So things became a lot clearer for me about why things all finally came to a head when they did. Now, she was a lot closer to my age than she was to my father's age. And, in my 15-year-old mind, he and I were going to set up camp and, live as cool bachelors. But that was not the plan. When she moved in, she really did move in and she took over. When she was 24, my dad was pushing 50, and I was 15 during that summer. So she was a lot closer to my age than she was to his. It was about 3 years after my parents split up, and my dad's girlfriend had kind of taken over a chunk of my world that I didn't really feel like sharing. And I'm sure I judged the old man very harshly on this. And if I had opportunity to uh, grow a little bit more mature, I think I might have nuanced my feelings before he got to the point with the early onset Alzheimer's that a conversation trying to resolve issues was not possible. But in any case, this was one of those events where I met Butch. Butch I referred to in part one as being his alter ego and his nickname from the tough streets of Montreal. So we went to the Café pour vous, the Canteen pour vous in the village of Waterloo, near where I live here, which is the same place he and I went to for a meal the day my mother left town with her last load of stuff. And we were with his girlfriend, and she was somebody who I did not have a very positive relationship with 3 years in. But I was there, and we went out for dinner, and we were sitting in the cafe. And in that cafe, there was a large semicircular horseshoe type counter. And as I mentioned before, Waterloo had a bit of a rough edge to it in those days. And at the counter was a motorcycle gang, and they were situated all the way around the counter, occupying all the seats. And on our side of it, where we were sitting in a line of booths, you could see the cracks of their asses, and on the other side, you could see their ugly mugs. And they were the real deal. We live in the Eastern Townships, which has been traditionally Hell's Angels country. Not that that's a danger or a problem on a day-to-day basis, but the feeder gangs, they all live in these little small towns, control the drug trade and things like that. So we were sitting there, and one of the gang members, obviously one of truncated eyesight and taste in women, was giving the eye to my dad's girlfriend. And at some point, she picked up on it and started priming herself and feeling quite pleased that she was getting attention in the restaurant. And my dad picked up on it too. And so he looked over at the guy across the entire restaurant, stared at him for a minute, and then said, "What are you looking at?" And the the guy looked back at him and he said, "I'm looking at your girlfriend, old man. What are you going to do about it?" That's when Butch turned up. Now, as my dad unfurled himself from the booth that we were sitting in, I was prepared to negotiate handing his girlfriend over and him and I going home for a cup of tea and forgetting about the whole incident, coming back for her if she wanted to come home with us. But no, not Butch. Butch defended his interests, his sovereignty, his borders. There was no doubt of what he was going to do. So he unfurled himself from the cubicle. He stood in the middle of a restaurant, calm, without rage, almost with humor in his voice, And he looked at the guy and he said, "Well, first, I'm going to kick your ass. And then I'm going to kick the ass of any of your friends that are stupid enough to get up and try and help you." And he just stood there. He waited for the guy. And I was in, near panic mode. I wasn't a fighter, and I certainly wasn't prepared to die defending his girlfriend's honor. I mean, I guess I would have to defend my father, but I had definitely had ambiguous feelings about the moment. That's for sure. And so the gang member whose back was directly towards my father must have been the leader, and he made some kind of sign to the guy on the other side. And the guy looked at my father and says, "You're crazy, old man," and just went back to eating his meal. My dad stood there for another 10, 15 seconds, not threatening, not saying anything, just standing there making sure the guy didn't want to get up and get his ass kicked. And then he sat down and finished his pie and ice cream, and which was his way. So he was sitting there calmly. He didn't say anything to his girlfriend. He didn't say anything to me. And I said, "Dad, these guys are going to wait for us. They're gonna kill us. Let's go out the back door. Let's get to the truck. I'll run out. I'll get the truck. I'll meet you in the front. We can take off." And he said, "Settle down, son. Nothing's going to happen. It's over." That was Charlie. Never any panic, never losing his temper or rarely losing his temper, capable of reeling it back in, no rage, but something in his voice, something in the charisma of his presence told people he wasn't going to back down, and that they either needed to be prepared to take him on, even at that age where he was probably 50, 51. He had that presence, and he had a way of expressing that presence that made people listen, including me and my friends when we were kids, and just about anybody else. The flip side of it was charm, and he was very successful at relationships and making people enjoy his company, and he was a real legend. So that's the last story I'm going to tell about Butch. I might come up with another later on, but I'm butched out right now. I think I'm going to do one more video about my father and the ravages of early onset Alzheimer's, how it changes everything. And I'm going to do that one because I would like it to resonate with people who are perhaps going through the same crisis that I had to go through, and I had to share that crisis with my closest family member at the time, which was my younger sister, who was a big help. But I know there are many families going through that type of a crisis, and it's devastating, but you can get through it. And maybe my experiences in handling that situation with a tough nut like Butch, who you know didn't want to be told what to do from anybody, even as he was losing his marbles, was quite the challenge. So I'll do one video on that, and then I'll move on to other things. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this Butch story, and I hope you agree with me that my old man was a tough nut with flip side. And please like and subscribe. I'm enjoying your feedback and comments. Keep it coming. Have a great day.